speaking of the Mountain West Conference, little old San Diego State, Jake, is going to the Final Four.
Right.
Now, let's have the conversation that everybody hates. There are no blue bloods in the Final Four. Jake, is it good or bad for college basketball?
I mean, I don't think it's bad for college basketball when it happens every once in a while, but I think college basketball needs to have, the traditional teams in every year. I think that that's what's best for college basketball. But again, I think the upset story, the San Diego States of the world getting in beating a blue blood, I think is good every once in a while. So I don't think that college basketball is going to burn to the ground because all of a sudden there's not a Kentucky or a Kansas in the Final Four, But I do think that it can't be every single year where we're having all the number one seeds lose, because I don't think that's good for college basketball, and I don't think anybody really enjoys that.
Yeah, I actually think it is really bad for college basketball. I think, and I know it probably pisses a lot of people off when I say it, but I think you need to have blue bloods for the health of college athletics. It's imperative. Because you look at the bracket now, and again, I look at San Diego State, and while politically they may be a big story, the issue is how many people are going to flip on the TV and watch San Diego State play ball? That, to me, Jake, is the biggest question. And you look at the Final Four, and you see that it is UConn and Miami. That's terrifying. You see that it is FAU and San Diego State. I think that's terrifying. And frankly, I think for the health of college basketball, I really do think this is a disaster TV ratings-wise. I think this will be one of the lowest-rated Final Fours in the history of college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see it going both ways. I would tend to lean your way, thinking that, hey, not a lot of people are going to watch this matchup. But at the same time, I think that it's been such a storied tournament. I think that there's been so much attention given to it because all of these number ones have lost and a bunch of unconventional teams have won.
Yeah.
That I think there's a lot of tension on the tournament right now. And I think that, if San Diego State were to go to the national championship game, let's say, then it's just a crazy time. And to me, like, that would be huge news. That would obviously be a headline everywhere. So I think in one hand, yeah, it's not great for television just on the surface, but I think this particular tournament, the way this particular tournament has gone down, I think it will be fine. But again, that's why I say it's okay every once in a while, but like you can kind of see how it would start to be an issue if it happened every year, because now it's like, oh, well, what random ass team is in the tournament final this year? What, who upset who this year, rather than saying, okay, oh, it's Kentucky and then some random team. Okay, fine. It's, a staple and then some other team. Fine. That's what I think you need at a minimum every year for it to be healthy.
Yeah. And I tend to, I'm not saying I disagree with you. I think that you have to have people watching the NCAA tournament for college athletics to thrive. I mean, it just is that simple. And I am one who believes, and I know we've talked about this a lot on the show before, I think the one and dones hurt college basketball, but that's not what really this is. If we're being honest, the issue is these are all teams that have veteran players. You look at guys like Drew Timme on Gonzaga. There's a reason Gonzaga's been good pretty much for the last 2-3 years, and it's a lot to do with Timme, because he's been there. He's not a one and done. And if you look at the teams that are in the Final Four now, there's not a true freshman on any of those teams, right? You look at the one and dones, the Kentuckys, the Dukes, the Carolinas. You don't have as many core players that are there for 2, 3, 4 years like you do in smaller programs. And I think it is absolutely a distinct advantage for smaller programs to have those veterans who know the offense, who've spent time with their coaches. One of the reasons that Mark Few is such a stud is because he's been there for so many years and he has an ability to build relationships with his players. Now, they're not there, but again, I look at Hurley at UConn, pick any of these 4 teams. These are all veteran teams that have been together who understand each other. I think it's a huge advantage. And honestly, I think it is a shot over the bow of the Blue Bloods, like Kentucky, like Kansas, like Carolina, like Duke, because you've got to find a way to not live and die on the Bronny Jameses of the world. Not live and die on that high school kid that's going to play 1 year in your program and then end up in the NBA, because I think it's opening the door for these mid-major teams to make it to the Final Four. And I don't personally believe that that's good for college athletics. And I know that's probably going to piss off a good amount of people, but
oh, come on, the Cinderella story. Come on.
Well, but I look at San Diego State and the Pac-12 as the Pac-12 turns. I look at this thing with San Diego State and the Pac-12, and I say to myself, is this Final Four going to be what pushes the Pac-12 to finally invite San Diego State? Now, I don't think they're going to do anything. In fact, I've been told they're not going to do anything until their TV deal is done. The biggest issue is who's going to pay and who has the ability to get more money to add a G5. Well, that'd be the Big 12. Because you look at Gonzaga, Fox has told the Big 12, hey, we'll pay for Gonzaga basketball. There's no question about that. The bigger issue is, will ESPN or whoever winds up with the linear TV rights here, will they pay for San Diego State? And the answer is probably no, they won't. And I think it puts a Pac-12 in a terrible spot. Because even if you get this TV deal, that's probably not even the biggest story. And I understand it. San Diego State right now is making around $4 million a year. Okay, let's say you're at 22 and you pay them half a share. Hell, you pay them a quarter share.
Yeah.
They just got $1 million. They just got $1 million bump to $5 million. But who's going to pay for them? I continually find myself in these conversations of, all right, that's cool. You're going to add San Diego State. How are you going to pay for that?
Right.
And this is, again, why I look at somebody like a BYU, and it goes back to what everybody's been talking about with, hey, Big 12 added BYU. They probably added several $1 million to the Big 12 TV package. Well, that's exactly right, because you can't tell me Cincinnati or Central Florida is adding a whole lot of value to the TV package. Houston and BYU, and especially BYU, added significant value to the Big 12 TV package.
Yeah.
And I just ask you, who's the BYU out there that's going to add value to the Pac-12 TV contract? Because I don't think there's one out there.
Yeah, and I think if you're San Diego State, your hope is that people overvalue geography. They overvalue the fact that, that you're basically the only entity left in Southern California. And I think, obviously it's a huge tool in their tool bag as far as getting paid and getting into a P5. And I think this tournament performance, obviously, I mean, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. The tournament performance obviously helps you in getting into a P5. You've now shown that you can beat quality P5 talent, which is great. But I think, when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's, who's going to pay for you? Who's going to take less? Who's going to do X, Y, and Z to fit you in, to accept you. And I think that's where it gets really tough, because you're not Gonzaga. You're not some purebred basketball program. You are not that yet, but you can always become that. And I think if I'm San Diego State, I'm trying to paint this picture of, hey, yeah, we are in San Diego. Obviously, SC and UCLA are gone, so LA is really not available to you. And we're a school that has all these new facilities, and we're spending money, and we're doing all these great things. So we have a really strong offering, and we're not asking you to pay us $20 million or full share, whatever that number ends up being. We're asking you to pay us half a share, a quarter share, whatever, to allow us to come into your conference. So I think that's where San Diego State offering is strong, because they're not asking you to pay full price for what you have to pay for some other programs. They've already upgraded facilities. We know that. They have good geography. We know that. So I don't think this really is a conversation around whether their offering is strong or not. They have a strong offering. The only issue is that they're a G5, not a P5. And I think
that's a big issue.
It's a big issue, and I think a lot of people get hung up on that, as they should. I'm not saying that that's something that should just be skipped over, but at some point, if you're the Pac-12, you have to kind of sit here and be like, okay, we have this opportunity to add San Diego State very clearly, and at some point, we need to bolster our conference. We need, as the saying goes, we need to get a win. We need some sort of positive news to come out of the conference at some point, and I just feel like while San Diego State may not, break the structure of the NCAA, I think it would absolutely give you a win on any level, and I think you need that.
I also think there's real value in the conversation of who's more valuable, one of the top teams in the Big East or San Diego State. Because if we're being honest about it, is UConn, tell me that UConn is not more valuable than San Diego State. And I think I could make a pretty good argument that UConn
and we're talking about valuable to the Pac-12, right?
Valuable to the Pac-12 or the Big 12, frankly, because I look at the top teams in the Big East, and the brands are significant in basketball. And if Brett Yormark has made anything clear, it is that he is going to expand basketball and they are going to monetize it. Now, he's also said his priority is to add the fourth time zone. He's got West Virginia in the East, obviously. He's got a plethora of schools in the Central. Now he's got schools in the Mountain. Now we're looking at the Pacific time zone. Yeah. So San Diego State makes sense. Gonzaga makes sense. But if you're the Big East, are you not looking at Creighton? Are you not looking at Xavier and hoping? Are you not looking at UConn and hoping? I mean, I'm probably not worried about Providence. I'm probably not that worried about Marquette. But tell me you're not worried about losing some of your bigger brands. Tell me, and everybody wants to get a boner over, well, Rick Pitino, captain on the 15-second pounder.
Do something for me.
Tell me you're not worried about losing St. John's right now.
I'm so bricked up right now.
Because I think you should be. Because I think everybody looks past the Big East, and I know it's not the most comfortable conversation, and I know it's not, those are not the sexiest brands in the world.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
If you are the Big 12 and you are willing to go and get Gonzaga, which, again, we have reported exclusively on this show that Brett Yormark has verbally invited Gonzaga to the conference.
Gonzaga.
If you're willing to do that, what is stopping you from going out east and getting UConn?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, nothing technically is stopping you from going and chasing UConn. UConn has value. But I think, it's the pursuit of the West Coast. And I think, if you're Brett Yormark, you got to sit here and you got to look at this and you got to say, okay, if we were, like when the tournament's over, if they were to come out with the news that Gonzaga is going to join the conference and next year or 2 years, whatever the structure of the deal is. Hey, they're going to join our conference. If you're San Diego State, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, okay, that's the deal they got for Gonzaga. How does that stack up for us? Right? So if you're San Diego State, you want the Gonzaga news to happen. But I also think if you're San Diego State, you're looking at your opportunities here. And I think, I would be looking at the Big 12 over the Pac-12, but I think the only thing the Pac-12 has in its favor is travel, and I think that would be the big issue with UConn if you're, the Big 12.
But think about where's Creighton? Creighton's in Omaha, Nebraska, or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Creighton's fine. Yeah,
you look at Creighton. I think UConn's fine. You've got West Virginia. If you're a Big 12, the Pac-12, you have no way to make that argument because UConn's better off in the Big East than they are in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
and I just keep going back to this Big 12 relationship with Fox. I think it's really important because the Pac-12 doesn't have a relationship with Fox. And so I think this relationship that Brett Yormark has built with Fox, that he has built with ESPN, that I think here in the near term he's going to build with a streamer.
Yeah.
I think these are critical, big-time relationships when we talk about building the future of this conference. Because it's only going to get bigger. It's not going to get smaller now. Because there's just – I mean, even if you think that, pick your Big 12 team wants to go to the Pac-12, what's the avenue to get there? So it's not going to get smaller. It's going to get bigger. I think it is really, really important that when you look at the schools that we're talking about, we're not talking about adding, Little Brother. We're talking about flipping Creighton. We're talking about
Division I football.
Dude, we're talking about UConn. We're talking about Gonzaga. We're talking about San Diego State. And I think it's really important that we recognize that there are no relationships in place for the Pac-12 to leverage. So if you are San Diego State, what is the money play to join the Pac-12? That's the answer I have not been able to get. If you are to go and add schools, and another thing we've talked about a lot on this show is Fresno State. I see zero value in Fresno State. The TV people we talk to see zero value in Fresno State for either conference. So again, I'm asking you, even if you're the Pac-12 and you want to go get San Diego State and Fresno State, let's say, to build regionality, to help other teams in your conference, who's going to pay for that? Who, and not even like who is capable, who wants to pay for that?
Right.
That to me is the big question, because I don't see a whole lot of appetite in the coffers of the Pac-12 to go and do that. And frankly, I don't see any appetite to do that. It's not like they're out there looking for bucked up Miami like we are on a daily basis.
You know what I mean?
Because it's almost impossible to get the greatest flavor of bucked up ever, bucked up Miami. Thank you, Jake. Bucked Up, the official energy drink of the Monty Show. And frankly, Bucked Up is the official energy everything of the Monty Show. We use their pre-workout. We use their BCAAs. Awesome peach ring BCAAs is my favorite flavor. Stoked about that. And then you figure out that Bucked Up wants to send you on a cruise. I said a cruise, my man.
Ryan, and this is Jeff, and we're owners of Bucked Up, and we have something really exciting to tell you. We're heading to our manufacturers right now, and we're adding tickets in cash and prizes to the pre-workout. Let's go. We have 1,000 tickets going into our new flavor, Bucked Up Gold. It's only available at GNC. There's a 1 in 50 chance of winning. Let the hunt begin.
Okay.
Telling you, man.
Okay.
We just kicked it up a notch with Bucked Up. Not only is the product great, but Bucked Up Gold that's only available at GNC. Now you're winning credits. Now you're winning a cruise.
Yes.
Now you're winning cash.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm telling you. That's the great part about doing business with companies like Bucked Up, because they get it. They take care of their people. Bucked Up is a local Utah company. You know Ryan Gardner. He's our guy. Trying to convince him. I am twisting his arm to have him come on the show.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, Bucked Up is where it's at. I was just in their South Jordan store the other day. Mrs. Monty got herself a case of Bucked Up gin and juice low stim in the white can. Don't take my word for it. Click the link in the description below. Free Bucked Up samples. That's all you have to do. You get 3 samples of your choice and the best shaker cup. And I'll tell you what, I'm a little lost. I'm back on the
here, bro?
I'm back on the broke ass.
Yeah, what is this, dude?
Because I didn't do the dishes, and the Bucked Up shaker cup was in the sink and it's dirty. But
the blender ball's not in the disposal.
No, because it's attached. So the blender balls are attached to the top and in the Bucked Up shaker. But it is the best shaker you're ever going to own. 3 samples of your choice for free. Click the link in the description below for free samples from Bucked Up and a Bucked Up shaker cup of your choice. Ships it right to your front door. And I just can't say enough about the guys at Bucked Up. It is so enjoyable. It's so exciting to be around and to be doing business with CEOs like Ryan Gardner, who just totally understands it. He is all about his community. He is all about growing his business. He is all about doing it the right way with good people.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the guys at Bucked Up are fantastic. They make a fantastic product that I love. Hook it up. Check it out. Let's see. Bonehead says it's good to have the balls attached.
It is. Yeah. It really is.
As a guy whose balls have been detached, I can tell you, man, it's a scary feeling when you see him down there in the garbage disposal.
And that's how I look at it.
You know. Big 12 Sports Baylor football with Patrick. Okay, that's too long. Patrick Bourne says, "Oh, Monty, in the sink, that's Bucked Up." It is.
Right. See what he did there?
See what he
That's
did
bucked
there.
up instead of, that's, blanked up.
It's Bucked Up.
Right.
Bonehead says, "Bucked Up, chug, chug, chug."
Right.
Hey, man.
Right.
Jake, you still owe the fans.
I do
you
not.
still owe
I
the
do
masses.
Not. We did it last week, dude.
I did.
No, I did it with you.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, your idea of chugging was, okay, well, let's see. Fat Ass is going to chug it. Let me just. Oh, man, that was amazing. Wow. I just chugged that whole can. No, you didn't. You owe us one.
Okay.
You owe us one.
Okay.
All right, let's get some of your comments in here. What do you guys think? San Diego State going to the Pac-10, 12, 14, like 91. McKenna Tech Dan, my guy, a member of the show, with the transfer portal and NIL being what they are, this is going to happen more often. When you're talking about the mid-major getting into the Final Four, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. And if you can't win games, you're going to lose players to other programs because now they don't have to sit and wait for you to give them a release. They can hit the transfer portal. So, yeah, I totally agree. I think it's going to happen more, Dan, and it's not, frankly, it's not at all surprising. Kenneth is back in today. You will see the end of the automatic bids. Maybe the problem is conference tournaments and, championship week and, I think it's one of the best weeks in college sports when you have, Jimmy's small town tire changing school, trying to take on the soldering program at Jones High School to get into the NCAA tournament. When you have two small schools in the Sun Belt,
It's sunny out there.
That's what you like watching. You like watching these kids. It is what March Madness is. It's what powers the whole philosophy of March Madness.
Right.
So I don't know. That would be a huge loss in my opinion. A huge loss if championship week went away. The auto bids I think are really important. Gumby, what's up? He said, I thought the Aztecs were from Mexico.
No.
So what happened was Bob Holsey says, well, nobody is stopping them from crossing the border either. Okay, politics. Speaking of which, Ruff's official.
Ruff.
More people will be willing to watch if it's not the same teams every year.
It's never the same teams, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty. I think this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Blue Bloods, Kentucky, Duke, Carolina, versus, San Diego State, Creighton, these smaller schools, these truck stop universities. The Miamis for basketball.
The unconventionals, the ones that how did
Florida
they
Atlantic
get there? How did Fairleigh Dickinson?
I'm sorry, who? Fairleigh Dickinson?
Gonzaga.
Exactly. I think the novelty of it wears off quick, and the TV numbers will show that. More people, I do not think, will watch. More people will watch Duke, Carolina in the Final Four of the Sweet 16. If you're going to have Kentucky and Duke play for a national championship, that's a huge audience.
Yes.
Just an alumni alone.
Yes.
That's what makes the world go round. Absolutely. T. Lawrence Gragston, what's up? A member of the show. High Casuals, Big 12 might make the move on San Diego State. I would be all in right now today, San Diego State and Gonzaga if I were Brett Yormark.
Yep.
I'd be all about it. I truly would.
Do it.
San Diego State. Glenn, what's up? He says Tanagra, Gumby. I have no idea what that means.
Okay, let's pull the old Google machine out here.
I don't know. The Kingston Bunch. At this point, the women's March Madness is more entertaining than the men's March Madness. A lot of people agree with that. I have heard that about 100 times. Delaric, good day to you, sir. Parity is always good, though. It is on a certain level. It is when, 5 underdogs win in the round of 64.
Right.
It is when, hey, maybe there's 2 or 3 in the Sweet 16. But if we're going to do business on the NCAA tournament, let's be honest and say, hey, it's cool to have a Mountain West school in the NCAA tournament. Hey, that's cool. But is Florida Atlantic at all of interest or a draw to anybody?
No, I guess not.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, Florida Atlantic deserves it. They belong in there. And I think the Owls are somebody that I think we know Conference USA is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
But, hey, beating North Texas and UTEP and UTSA and Rice and how could we forget Middle Tennessee and Florida International?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Those are the Conference USA teams. And hey, FAU was 35-3 this year. Is 35-3 this year.
Yeah.
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 Let's see, Kenneth. The Big 12 will never add a G5 like San Diego State. That would make the Big 12 lose money. Au contraire, mon frere. I would disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think that you have a situation where, again, it is all dependent on what your TV partners are willing to do. And I think right now, if San Diego State wants to get paid and they want to go from $4 million a year to $15 million a year, you're going to the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to happen because the Big 12, if it happens, the Big 12 would be able to get extra money from ESPN and more likely Fox. Because Fox is your college basketball home, essentially.
Well,
I mean, they've turned into
dude,
that.
San Diego State has some value. It's not like they're just some terrible school. Like, you know, I mean, they're not a P5 school, obviously, but I think that, you know, they have value because of where they're located. I mean, if you just stop right there, they have value. That is a reason to add them. Southern California, just stop talking after that. Like, that's it. Like, that's 100% end of conversation. They're in Southern California. There's a ton of money there. You can get that money out of the market if you have a team and you have a bridge, if you will, which would be San Diego State. Like, it makes sense, and they can figure it out with Fox. Fox, you know, loves to distribute basketball content, and San Diego State has now shown that they can compete. So I don't know. I'd have a little more faith than, hey, they'll never add a G5, because I just don't think that's true.
And listen, there's no doubt the pro rata is something that is absolutely should be talked about. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think, and if you don't know what a pro rata is, it is a clause in the contract with ESPN and the Big 12 where ESPN has said, if you go and add another P5 program, we will pay up for that. Well, Gonzaga is not a P5 program, but I've been told Fox has told the Big 12 they would pay to add Gonzaga basketball. More likely, we're talking about Arizona State. We're talking about, you know, Colorado, Utah, anybody in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
ESPN's willing to pay to add them to the Big 12.
Yeah.
So the issue becomes San Diego State.
Right.
The issue becomes Fresno State, because Fresno State has no brand. And I know all the people in the Central Valley get all upset when I say this.
Everybody is outraged.
Fresno State has no brand.
Yeah.
You don't know them for football. You don't know them for basketball. You don't know them
for canoeing.
What do you know them for? You don't. And I think that's the issue, is that they don't have a brand. San Diego State, I know, has, again, not even San Diego State, Boise State.
Yeah.
We know that Boise State is putting tremendous amounts of revenue into infrastructure right now.
Blue turf.
We know that they're rebuilding. We know that they're renovating. You know, and again, Commissioner Navarez will be on the show tomorrow from the Mountain West at 4 o'clock, about 24 and a half hours from now. And I'm looking forward to talking to her. In listening to her speak and seeing her track record in the WCC, I think she's uniquely qualified to lead the Mountain West forward. How does she protect her flanks from raiders like the Pac-12 and the Big 12?
Yeah.
Because my feeling is, and really it's going to be the Pac-12, because I think it's going to be much more difficult for the Mountain West to fend off the Big 12 than it will the Pac-12. But she understands the business landscape from the WCC to the Mountain West and how you grow that footprint. I think she is one of the most important figures in college sports in general right now. I think she is really important. And oh, by the way, San Diego State's in the Final Four.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous story. Matt Ritson gives us a $5 tip to say, should take Stanford and Cal endowment money, so pay off San Diego State, bring them to the Pac-12 conference. Yeah, I don't know that Stanford and Cal give a damn about adding San Diego State to the conference.
Yeah.
We've talked about this previously.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is going to be, how do you grow the Pac-12 now? Is this not just live for tomorrow?
Oh, it is. It is. And I don't know how you
wake
fix
up
that.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know how you fix that. I mean, I don't know that there's.
I don't know either.
Like I like right now, I think it's just hey, we need to try and wake up tomorrow. We need to find our way through the night and try to come out the other side with some sort of grant of rights done. And you know, with that grant of rights, only lasts a year, great. That's another year we had to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, if you're the PAC right now, that's your mission.
Yeah, and I think specifically about Gonzaga, this is what's so interesting about Gonzaga is I think they have tremendous value. They are not basketball only. They're going to be you're going to have to take all of their sports, and obviously Gonzaga doesn't play football, but you're going to have to take their spring sports as well, and they do very well at baseball and softball.
Right.
So I mean, I think they have real value geographically, they have real value. Brand-wise, they have real value. So I put Gonzaga next to Fresno State, and I just ask you, who's got more value? It's not even close.
Gonzaga.
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about. So with all due respect to Gonzaga, and I understand now San Diego State, okay, well, you're in the Final Four. That's all well and good. But really beyond that, what is your value? Well, your value is your geography, San Diego, Southern California.
Yeah.
That's your value. And with all due respect to basketball, and I understand, like, hey, you're pretty good at football, but this is the first foray into major championship opportunities in a very long time for San Diego State.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have come at a better time if you're the Aztecs. It's making the Mountain West money in shares. Like, this is a really good situation. And I agree. This 1 year, we should celebrate it. But the biggest question to me is San Diego State any different than Gonzaga? Because I think Gonzaga is as good as gone in the Big 12.
Yeah, well, and I think, yeah. I mean, I think that San Diego State clearly is going to do something. I mean, I don't know.
I would think so.
I think what they do comes down to just value. I mean, again, this is the beautiful part about it. If you're San Diego State, you're sitting here weighing the options because, again, like you were explaining earlier, even a quarter share is an improvement on what you're being paid now. So
yes,
financially for San Diego State, you're fine. I mean, your money's going to go up. And to me, I again, if I was San Diego State, I'd be trying to go to the Big 12. It's a basketball conference. It's got more security, makes more sense. Like, why would you not try to go there? But, again, they're going to look at it. And by the way, again, I think also academics for the Pac-12 clearly matter more than they do in the Big 12. And I think that, the snobs in the Pac-12 academically are going to look at this and say, hey, yeah, San Diego State's cool and everything, but, I'm not sure that we would want them next to us academically. So that's why I say I think there are numerous reasons why the Big 12 is a better fit, but I think San Diego State has been pining for the Pac-12 for a while now. So I wouldn't be surprised either way, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this weekend of basketball.
Yeah.
I did. As shocking as it was, I absolutely enjoyed it. Has it been a good NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall it's been a good tournament. Like I said, I think, the upsets and the lack of, or I guess not the lack of, but the plethora of number ones falling and all these upsets and like just sort of the March Madness that has taken place. Like, yeah, I think it's good for the tournament, but I think, ultimately you're going to pay the price for that in the national championship game of college basketball. And I think that's the unfortunate part. Now, again, the cool thing with basketball is a little different than football, where like if you had Georgia and FAU, nobody would watch that because Georgia's going to win by like 150 points, and I'm not exaggerating. But in college basketball, you can say, okay, let's watch the first half. If it's close at the half, I'm going to tune into the second half. If they're getting blown out, then I'm turning it off. And that, I think, is the key difference with basketball. FAU on a random year in 2023 can compete with, a Blue Bud or a team that usually is more consistently. And I think that's the beauty of college basketball. But watching, San Diego State in the tip at the end of the game and turning it over.
Tell me that didn't smack of, are you trying to lose the game?
I mean, it just was.
You throw a lob at your own rim when you're up by 2? In
the moment, I wasn't thinking to myself, they're trying to lose the game.
I didn't think they were trying to lose the game. They're the one, and I'm not even going to call a kid out, but come on. You're going to throw a lob. Yeah, you're throwing a lob at your own rim across the court.
Infowars.com.
On an inbound play. And then when the ball goes out of bounds to end the game, you're standing there yelling for him to review it, even though you won the game.
Dude, you're tinfoil stick today, huh?
Just on that one particular thing. I'm telling you, man.
I can't deny it. There's no denying that the kid, it does.
Come on.
Yeah, it does. It is a little suspicious. But in the moment when I was watching the game, I was like, dude, that's just a cardinal sin of basketball.
You didn't
don't
think
do
that one time?
Not while I was watching it. I wasn't like, oh, the kid's trying to throw the game.
My God.
I was just like, yeah, wow, that's
Dude,
just a big mistake.
I was thinking that. Like, I was like, what? Wait, what? What? How deep are your pockets right now? Somebody check that dude's jockstrap. He's got to have a band.
Erection.
Man, you got a band of hundos in there, man. Like, that's what...
I guess.
Anyway, speaking of band of hundos, get to TryDayTrading.com. $10 to change the rest of your life. I kid you not. And a lot of people have been asking me, hey, is it really $10? Yeah, that's it. It's $10. You sign up for a 30-day trial membership for $10 to become an expert day trader. Because what does Day Trading do? You're going to school to learn how to be a day trader. And when I say you're going to school, you are going through the program in this country, the premier program that teaches you how to day trade at a very high level. And everybody thinks when the market's volatile or there's a lot of dips, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, got to stay away. Au contraire, there are day traders in this country right now today making thousands of dollars on this exact market. You can get there for $10. $10 today at TryDayTrading.com. Stop getting out of bed every morning and saying, man, I hate my boss. I hate my job. I'm dreading going back to the office. Oh, God, it's Monday. Those are the worst feelings. When you get out of bed, you don't want to hate your job.
Yeah.
You don't want to be miserable driving to work. You want to be excited. You want to go downstairs in your own home because you work for yourself, because you went to TryDayTrading.com. You want to love your boss because you are your own boss, because you went to TryDayTrading.com. And you're going to take those vacations you've always thought about. You're going to live in the house. You're going to drive the car. Imagine that. If I said to you right now, for $10, you can have the house of your dreams. You can have the car of your dreams. You can take that Disney vacation you think is out of reach, and all you got to do is put $10 into it. You would do that in a second. So do it today at TryDayTrading.com. There's a little box in the middle of the screen. It says $10 trial membership. And listen, they're going to give that $10 to charity, tax write-off. It's your education, tax write-off, right? And if it's not for you, it's $10. You're done. You're out. You're back to your life, man. But I'm telling you, it is for you. I know so many people that have gone through the Day Trading program,
yes,
and it has changed their life.
Facts.
$10. Make it happen today. Make sure in the drop-down you click the Monty Show. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show at TryDayTrading.com. Football at 50 in 10 minutes. We got to talk about Lamar Jackson, dude. Got to talk about Lamar Jackson. Let's see. Jet G-Town says Utah doesn't want to leave the Pac-12 because they see it's going to be an easier path to a championship with USC gone. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt. This last year is going to be amazing. And by the way,
Here
you guys,
we go.
listen, you guys know.
Look here, man.
You guys know how much I love Jake. He's my guy.
That's all a lie. That's a complete lie.
You know that Jake is all in on his guy, Coach Prime. And last week we had this big argument about how Coach Prime's the best coach in the Pac-12 that anybody has ever seen, ever.
Okay, I didn't say that.
Drop that motherfucker.
That was Jake's exact quote. So, last week we had a huge debate about, was Coach Prime one of the best coaches in the conference? I said no. Jake said yes.
It is what it is.
Then today, Super West Sports put out their coaches ranking in the Pac-12.
Uh-huh.
So number one is Lincoln Riley.
Right.
Number two, Kyle Whittingham. And you help me if I'm wrong. Do you spell Dion and pronounce it DeBoer?
No.
Because DeBoer at Washington's 3. Well, is Prime pronounced Smith? Oh, he's not. Okay, well, Smith at Oregon State is number 4. But do you pronounce Sanders like Lanning? Because Lanning at Oregon is number 5. And I don't know about you, but Chip Kelly, that doesn't sound like.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
That number's, Chip Kelly and Deion, I've never seen them in the same room. Okay, I've never seen them in the same room.
Facial recognition.
Listen, they could be the same person. I've never seen Chip Kelly and Deion Sanders in that. They're very similar people.
I'm not too familiar with that.
I mean, you could easily get them confused if they've been standing next to each other, which I don't think they ever have.
Oh.
But how is Chip Kelly's name above Deion Sanders?
I don't know, man.
I mean, this is. I don't know how. I think somebody needs to go over to Super West Sports and do a wellness check because clearly they use a lot of crack.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, how is Deion Sanders not listed? Your guy, Deion Sanders.
So I said, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you're saying all the right things for once. I mean, I
should probably stop.
I'm just, yeah. It's fine. It's fine. Crow sandwich will be thick. It's fine.
Cocaine and hookers, my friend.
Listen, when Deion goes undefeated, I mean, how do you like your crow? Do you like your crow medium well? I would at least suggest medium because you get those fecal matters in there. You want to bake them out.
Yeah, you gotta cook out all the germs.
What are you gonna do when he wins 3 or 4 games?
I don't know. Tell you
What,
I
in
told
the
you
first
so.
month of the season?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
he'll be
party,
fine,
man.
dude. When he's won 3 out of 4 games,
It's probably different than what you think.
What am I going to do when he's won 3 or 4 games? Depends. Is he 4-0? I'm going to be celebrating.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
Oh, my God. Cougar Track says, can we all just get along? No. What?
Idiot.
What?
No.
Stop. Kurt Meyer says all the polls are rigged. Capazzo says Neon Dion, the best thing since sliced bread.
That's right.
Hey, Louis Capazzo, the grand opening of Barbecue Pit Stop was this weekend in St. George.
Yep.
Let's go.
Go get it.
Let's go. Jeff Johnson says it's weird to see Monty's voice cracking so much like he's a teenager. I mean, anytime that,
I'm not sure what to say to that.
Blazed Bunny. Every team not named Utah would hire Riley over Winningham. Okay. And they'd be wrong every time. Because, again, I don't mind.
This is the crux of my argument last week.
I don't mind dying on the hill.
Yeah. You definitely died on the hill. So
Kyle Whittingham is the best coach in the Pac-12. It's not even a conversation.
Right.
Is he the most accomplished coach? No. That's Lincoln Riley. Is he the most successful coach? I think absolutely. What Kyle Whittingham has built at Utah, out of the mountain, into the PAC, the ramp up of talent.
We built this program on NIL.
The turn of his coaching staff, integrating NIL, which has been a real struggle on the Hill. Lincoln Riley walked into USC. It's USC. Nice facilities, huge fan base, lots of huge racks with cleavage, like everything you need to lure dudes.
Stay hard.
You got it. Yet Kyle Whittingham won the conference championship last year. Kyle Whittingham went to the Rose Bowl.
Without
again.
a Heisman winner.
Without his starting quarterback. Without his best tight end. With Kyle Whittingham's the best coach in the conference. I don't even think there is anything about that.
Yeah, and that's why I died on the hill last week, and everyone got all pissed off and said I'm stupid, and that.
Well, that wasn't over
that
Deion Sanders.
No, but if you remember, the crux of my argument with Deion is that Lincoln in year one has all these resources available to him, right? Like he's got Caleb Williams, USC.
But that's not his fault.
It doesn't matter if it's his fault or not. Does he have more resources available to him in year one than Deion?
No.
What do you mean no?
Deion brought talent with him, according to you. And look, the stuff at Colorado, it's hard to go to school at Colorado.
Uh-huh.
It is very difficult. The academic standards alone.
Just all those beautiful women walking around.
Well, I'm telling you right now, Boulder's got some peaches on the trees.
It's an erection.
Year round, son. Like, year round, them peaches are on the tree. It's not, the issue is it's not California. It's not sun and surf.
Uh-huh.
All I'm saying is that Deion's got to go and do something first. I don't care who's got more tools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little burned out on Deion's the greatest coach ever hype right now.
Okay, and just the same way you're burned out on that. Mm-hmm. I'm burned out on Super West tweets about how Lincoln Riley's the best coach in the Pac-12 because he's not.
I don't disagree with that.
He's not.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, you want to talk about having to do something. How about you win the conference? By the way, the guy's only won, I think one bowl game in his career. I mean, I know. I'm a Lincoln hater. I get it. But we want to sit here and say that guys need to do something, and I feel like we don't apply that evenly.
Here, I'll sing the drop for you.
Thank
21.
You. Yeah.
Can you do something for me?
Thank you. Right? Like that's my that's my point. I think it's the logic in the bar of success is not applied equally. That's all I'm saying.
I think there's a huge bias towards Lincoln Riley. Andrew says Lincoln Riley, OC, Whittingham, DC, no head coach championship.
Agreed.
You ain't wrong.
Agreed, bro.
You ain't
100%.
wrong. Gonna be extra regular with the peaches. Damn right.
Yeah.
Damn right. It's just, yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. Christopher Shannon says Whittingham 1, Chip Kelly 2.
Sorry if you're offended by that.
It is way too early for you to be drinking. Jason says Riley is a media darling. Whittingham runs more of a physical program.
Agreed.
And Witt does not embrace the media.
He doesn't embrace anything.
But by the way, neither does Lincoln Riley. Riley's not out doing tons of interviews.
But I think that Lincoln, the difference is, and again, this is the USC, Utah conundrum, right? Like Riley doesn't have a choice. It's LA. Like you're going to do media.
The thing where you and I part company on Lincoln Riley is he also won a hell of a lot of games at Oklahoma.
He wins a lot of games.
And
he's a specialist at producing Heisman.
And his guys win trophies.
Yes,
and
that's
he puts
what
guys
does.
in the NFL.
But what he doesn't do, and this is where we part ways, as you just said, does not win national championships, and he does not win bowl games.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
You don't have to be the best. Mike M says, only LA media think Riley and USC is top in the conference. Well,
agreed.
I got news for you. I think on the field this year, they're going to be awfully difficult to beat. I just think that is, the Kingston bunch, Monty is a new Drake. Hey,
apparently.
Man. 21.
Yeah.
Roger Dodger says USC is better this year, no doubt. Oh, there's no question. They're more. The scary thing is USC is more talented this year than they were last year, which is terrifying. It's terrifying. And even though his nails are still nicely painted, Caleb Williams has more weapons to work with, which is terrifying.